of Law, and Avinash, who is from EBIT from Computer Science. And today, in the 10 minutes, I'm going to be sharing how students engaged with Lexi, an AI persona that we have created in the learning management system, specifically used in a legal writing assignment, and just to share a bit on what those AI conversations have revealed about their learning behavior. So imagine a second-year law student who is going to negotiate a contract, not with a lecturer, not with a lawyer, but with Lexi, the AI persona. And in this module, students had to complete a legal writing task that had kind of scaffolded up until a certain part, and this was in the middle of that activity. And this involved them interacting with Lexi to test ideas, clarify concepts, and refine their arguments. So this was a simple activity, 10 marks, and it created more than we expected. More than 11,000 back and forth messages between, I think we had 226 students in the module. Some had short conversations and some had extremely long conversations. So the three of us asked ourselves, what can these student AI exchanges tell us about their learning? So why is this important? Obviously, in higher education, artificial intelligence is becoming less of an answer generator and hopefully more of a feedback partner. But for this to happen, we must use AI meaningfully. And we need to understand how students actually interact with it, what they ask, how they respond, and also how they reflect afterwards to get that full circle picture. And by analyzing their prompts and reflections, we can start to see that things like feedback literacy, help-seeking behavior, as well as critical thinking, which is definitely the trendy word when it comes to AI now, and how these all take part in this action. And that was really the heart of this project, even though I must admit it unfolded so many things that we didn't expect in the data set. So how did we get this data? Avinash, thank you, Avinash. He created a custom screen scraper for us using an API, and this allowed us to capture the student prompts and their reflections anonymously with ethical clearance, and how they spoke to Lexi, and also how Lexi spoke to them. So we tried our best to bring in 3 different perspectives because all 3 of us come from completely different backgrounds. For me to look at the learning behavior, for Lucinda to look at law and the disciplinary accuracy and tone, and then Avinash, our computer scientist, to help us with the extraction and anonymization and unpacking the huge data set. So all the data came from an existing assignment. So this was secondary data analysis, and it was low risk, but like I said, extremely rich in insight. So this is just a little snippet of one of the students' extractions, and the student asked, list the elements of a valid contract. Lexi replied with a response, and then the student noted in their reflection that yes, it was helpful for recall purposes, but the student still needed to check their notes, which also tells me deep down that maybe the student doesn't fully trust that Lexi is going to give the correct answer, which is another discovery that was made. So each record like this with a prompt, a response, as well as a reflection gave us a huge data set to analyze. And it gave us both sides of the learning process, what the student asked and how they also evaluated the answers that they were given. So when we look across all the data, 3 very strong patterns are persistent. There is prompting diversity. So some students use Lexi for quick answers, very surface level engagement, whereas other students, and I must say majority of the students, had full dialogues with Lexi. They debated ideas, they asked follow-up questions, they built arguments, and some got very frustrated with Lexi, as most of us do with AI tools, because I think it reaches a point where it circles back to the beginning, and then it's just taking you in a loop of it's going nowhere, and many of them noted that as well. We also have reflection depth. So some reflections were extremely short. Some students just put one word, helpful or makes sense, where other students would be much more critical. For example, one student noted that Lexi helped me frame both sides, but I still needed to verify the law myself. And some of the reflections were really critical and showed strong self-regulation as well as digital confidence. I think an unintended outcome of this is definitely AI literacy as well as AI fluency, which is extremely important, especially for this group of students. Thirdly, we have also identified that many of the students' prompt linked to Bloom's clustering, um, from remembering facts to analyzing and evaluating to creating new arguments. And it's important to note that Lexi didn't determine the learning level. The students did that through the quality of their prompts. So some student quotes that we would like to share with you. Lexi helped me frame both sides. I checked the law myself, but the outline improved my argument. I asked Lexi about fairness. It reminded me before I even did. Another favorite one is Lexi was more engaging than my partner. And together, these quotes show us that students weren't just using the AI mechanically, they were also thinking, questioning, laughing, and in many cases, genuinely learning. Some students had a lot of back and forth with Lexi. Some didn't want it to end, I can see from their conversations, and others didn't care for it. So it was interesting to see the mix, especially since we had so many conversations that took place. So what does this really mean for teaching and learning? I think Lexi has the potential to function as a formative learning artifact. Some students could learn through and not just from. And it also supported deeper feedback design, encouraged student agency, help bridge the online and face-to-face components of the module. And I think this can also help Lucinda for the next cohort of students that are going to be doing this module. And for lecturers, I think analyzing these AI conversations can reveal a lot of misconceptions in the module, see their conversation quality or prompt quality, and also the confidence gaps. And these things are often invisible in traditional assessments. So what is next for us? Lexi provided us with a lot of rich data on how students think, how they test ideas, how they self-correct. And next is we would obviously like to further analyze the huge data set, see if we can maybe make some prompting guides for the specific tool, maybe develop a rubric to evaluate the AI alignment with the disciplinary expectations, and maybe even expand the approach beyond just that one specific law module into other faculties as well. And finally, I think it's important to note that learning with Lexi is not about replacing teaching. It's just about reprogramming feedback and agency on the student's part. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. I hope that was 10 minutes. If you have any questions or you would like to know more, you can scan this QR code and all our details are there.
Thanks so much, Ciska. This was very insightful. What you said about the students' ability to self-correct, I was just thinking that feels underrated, but worth looking into because it's part of the learning process that they go wrong and then they self-correct and then go right. Colleagues, any questions for Ciska? Before we breathe and then on to the next one at 2:20.
Lee, I wanted to say there will be a Q&A section after the second one, so we'll have some extra time for more questions.
Thanks, Bianca. I totally forgot about that section. Okay, I think we can breathe for a few minutes, but please don't leave the room. We're still in the same